All right. Welcome to the Exitable Business Podcast, where we discuss how to create enterprise value all of the time, how to double and triple the value of your business now, not just when it's time to sell or when you get an offer. Today, we have the privilege to have Bret Beitler on the show. Bret's an entrepreneur, CEO of numerous companies. We're going to dive into that in a minute. Welcome to the show, Bret.
Man, thank you so much for having me, Patrick. Happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So a little bit about Bret. Bret was born and raised in Texas, went to Texas State University, was a San Marcos business management grad. Brad spent 10 years in corporate America in sales jobs. We come from a very similar background there, made great money, learned a ton, but he knew his calling would be business ownership. Again, we have a lot in common. Bret then invested and went into real estate, single family homes, small apartments for 2 to 3 years, sold it all and went all in on business ownership. And Bret now owns 2 urban air adventure parks, 3 Kids Are Kids franchise preschools, and soon to find and build 4 Goldfish franchise swim schools, all in the Houston area. Very impressive resume there. We're going to dive into it. So much to go into. Bret lives with his beautiful wife, Paige, in Houston, Texas, and is actually expecting their first child here in less than a month, a baby boy named Jack. That is so awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're excited. Life's crazy and it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even, we're going to have to go into work-life balance because you own, what's that, 7, almost 9 businesses coming up. It's very interesting. I'm sure you're going to have a ton to share with people about how you balance all that. But before we get into that, Bret, what's one interesting fact, a little bit of an icebreaker thing. One interesting fact about yourself that maybe not many people know?
Yeah, man. So let's go back in the day. Took Taekwondo with my brother. We received our black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh, wow.
I was 12, he was 10, right? So
holy
that
cow.
was a long time ago. That was my first taste of what dedication and discipline can turn into. Right. My pop, he challenged us that if we got to our black belt, he would join. My dad made it to his yellow belt, which is just 2 up. It became a family thing. My mom actually worked at the business, and wow. I'm so glad I did it. It taught us a lot of things that we continuously use today when it comes to business success and discipline.
Very cool. It's so true. And it's funny because some people don't end up really ever getting it. It's the small things, doing the routine small things every day that ends up results in getting results.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Very cool. Awesome. So you went all in, you went from real estate and then you went all in on businesses. What was the thing that kind of, I assume you're still doing real estate investing, I believe.
Yeah. So all of our preschools are backed by real estate.
Okay.
It breaks my heart that I don't own the real estate with the urban airs, but
okay,
that's just the way it is, because you're in a huge box, right? So that's a much different, larger investment gulp down than it would be for the preschool.
Yeah.
We are actually looking for real estate to develop or purchase and retrofit for the Goldfish swim schools, but they also have a model that usually is used as the build out and then do the triple net lease type approach.
Gotcha. So are you always going to be into real estate and kind of, do you use the whole concept do you use like the income from your businesses, save up and buy real estate when you can type thing?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So, I mean, obviously I invested on a very small scale before we got into the preschools and urban air. I want to turn it back around again. And once we start making much more significant income when our businesses grow, yeah, I want to invest both for our vehicle purposes, but also with friends and colleagues that I trust so that I can start getting that mailbox money.
There you go. Love it. Mailbox money. Yep. So you made this, you went all in on business. It kind of walk us through that, because most people, when they think about doing business, they think about starting a business and growing it. And I think you said that every business you own, you bought. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So we looked at doing the go find and build phase for about a year when we got into Kids Are Kids. God had a different plan. We put 11 letter of intents in on different pieces of land across the city of Houston, and not one of them worked.
Wow.
Right. So we talk about discipline that I learned with the whole Taekwondo phase I just mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
We stayed the course.
Uh-huh.
We trusted God's plan, and
Right.
we had some mentors in our corner that just said, look, man, you just need to go and find some to buy. Get up in a room, tell people you're a buyer, and you see what happens.
Awesome.
The first meeting we went to, stood up, we're buyers. You want to talk? Come see us. I mean, 5 minutes later, one of the owners came up and just said, look, man, I'm ready to get out. Let's make this thing happen. And it steamrolled, right? Just turned into rapid fire acquisitions. We bought all 3 preschools in less than 2 years. And each one of them had its own challenges. Some of them were nightmares. Some of them were just normal takeovers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that gave us the confidence and the foothold to go, you know what, there's an angle to this. We really like being able to go buy under valued and underperforming businesses and inject the people, process, product, and culture into what is a little bit broken down and bring it new life and have a lot of fun along the way. Boom, enter Urban Air, did the exact same thing, bought both locations.
Wow.
Within 1 year of each other, right? So pretty quick as well.
Yeah. So what do you, when you say they're underperforming and or undervalued, specifically, what kind of things are you looking for when you do that?
Yeah, so it could be a broke down building, so physical attributes, right? Not following brand compliance. Those are things where an owner just falls out of love with the brand or out of love with the business or industry and just start taking their eye off the ball year over year, and it gets tired. And then mediocrity sets in with a bunch of the employee base because like if you don't have an owner that cares, doesn't really invest in the business,
they're kind of checked out.
Going to be like, yeah, whatever, man. As long as I'm getting my paycheck, I'm gonna do whatever. Right.
Yeah, the employees check out too.
Yeah, man. And so you got to get back in there and take away the celebration of mediocrity and start showing them what the greatness values and standards are, and understand that either they're going to get it and they're going to love it, or they're just not. And you got to promote them to guest and let them come back in a different facet. Right.
Yeah. I love that. You said the celebration of mediocrity. That's a good one. I'm going to start using that. So, you got into this, you bought one, the preschool, and then you ended up buying all 3. What, most people don't have the experience to just come in and know how to implement people, product, consistency, quality, all that stuff that you just talked about. How did you school yourself up and learn how to do that?
So it's 2 things. I got to give a shout out to the brands, right? So Kids Are Kids and Urban Air have a phenomenal corporate office backing.
Awesome. Okay.
And they give you the recipe to cook it up in the kitchen and have a good meal every time, right? So if you follow that process really well and you ask a lot of questions along the way, you're going to learn.
Yeah.
And then I actually have a business partner. I should mention that. Every one of our locations is ran by both of us together, right? So it's kind of a co-CEO type model that really, really works. He and I have been relentless of pursuing great mentors, right? So we find people that are overall a good business owner, have an incredible culture, have an incredible skill set in certain things that we lack in, and we invite them to come in and just beat us up a little bit and show us, hey, what are we missing? And what do you believe the business plan should be on executing, trying to accomplish these goals?
Yeah, very cool. So I'd love to dive into a little bit of, and that's a great one, pursue great mentors. Some people, try to do things on their own, and it's great to get beat up every once in a while. The more you get beat up, the more rashes you have, and the more you're going to grow. So it's awesome. What do you think would be like as you're progressing through this, starting out from your first acquisition, and now you're up to number 9 already, which is awesome. What do you think are some of the kind of the key pivotal and strategic phases or moments in your life and your journey there that were huge lessons learned for you and really molded who you are as a CEO now?
I would say throw your ego in the trash can. This is a massive team effort, right? So I can have all the ideas in the world, but I can't execute them all. And I can try and execute all I want to, and not have all ideas, right? So we simplistically have stepped back away from the table and said, look, we win as a team and we lose as a team. So we need to be comfortable and confident with other people winning alongside of us and it not having to be our spotlight, right? Like we're actually if you look at our employee scale, we have about 220 employees. Myself and my business partner, Alex, are at the very, very bottom of the food chain, and we serve upwards. So we do that in a way to promote servant leadership and allow people to understand that, you can serve up, you can serve down, behind, forward, beside you, as long as you're helping your team win. Let's have that type of mentality, and it becomes a part of our culture and our DNA and what we do every day. Another one is man, you got to get the mentors. We talked about that already. And in those mentors, you learn from their previous mistakes. You have the ability to bring a lot of their business plan that is crazy successful in their business units into your business, right? So you can cheat on the test and get an A every time, which I love to do. And
why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, man. Another piece would definitely be okay with either firing yourself from activities or allowing somebody else to do so, because you are not the person that should be helping the team win in that area, because you either don't have the skill set, the patience, or the personality to be able to get that one across the finish line, right? My one that I know for a fact I should not touch is getting into maintenance, repairs, or any kind of construction. And I can do a little bit and I can understand budgets and all that stuff, but man, when it comes to being an on hands type owner and swinging a hammer and trying to fix stuff, I'm the guy that should be pushed right out the door to go do something else. And I'm okay with that, right? Because I know my business partner is really skilled in those areas, and other people on our team are far more so than I am.
No, that's awesome, man. Hey, for the benefit of some of our listeners, many of our listeners probably own one business. Probably the majority of them own one business, and they're, maybe they're thinking about selling. Maybe, they're just thinking about, hey, how do I get prep? So 5 years down the road. And a lot of the clients that we work with, we help them, create that system so that then they can have time to go and start doing some acquisitions. I'd love it if you could kind of walk us through, or walk the listeners through, that first acquisition, just a little bit about, how did you structure it? Where did you get the different kinds of money for it? What were some of maybe did you hit any challenges or roadblocks in that acquisition?
Yeah, there's a lot to that, and I'll boil it down to simplicity.
Cool.
My father was an investor alongside myself and my business partner. He's been in the business world for 40 plus years. So he had his ability to bring in a lot of his expertise and experience and, building teams and culture and all that stuff, which helped. Raising capital for all of our deals we've done every single time, right? So we've syndicated all of our preschool purchases, all of our urban airs, and we did that with not only people that are good friends, but also just trust us blindly to be able to do what's right, to be a good steward of each business, right? And the reason they do that is because we've had a track record with them. We jumped into them with apartment complexes. We jumped in our first preschool, then our second, then our third. And every time that we performed, the trust factor and the confidence level was really, really high, right? So we now have complete authority to be able to run these businesses just between myself and my business partner, with full autonomy, full discretion, so that we can always forge forward and continue to allow each business to be as successful as it should be. And then I forgot your last part of your question.
Oh, well, I did too, but I wanted to ask, you said, so you actually had investors that were utilizing for real estate, and you kind of brought them over to business because you had a relationship, and they were like, hey, I don't care what you're doing. I trust you as a person. I'm willing to invest in you.
And so we went a step above, right? And this is what made them really feel confident in throwing, their hard-earned money towards each one of these investments.
Yeah.
Not only did we have incredible mentors, which we introduced them to, and they saw how successful their track record was for 10, 15, 20 years. And they had the ability to ask them, a dynamite set of questions to also have further confidence. But we went one step further, and we went and hired a business coach through Vistage. And I think I told you that.
Absolutely.
Our initial call. I was a part of a Vistage platform for about 2 years. And in that circle, I had the ability to have extreme detailed accountability and shareability, right? So I was going through all of our struggles and all of our wins. They helped us form the partnership that I have today with my business partner. and our ability to communicate really well, hold each other accountable, show up, what a win looks like, what a opposite of a win looks like.
Yeah,
How do
totally.
you handle those challenges? And I'm not saying we're perfect, but I can tell you we are leagues better than we were 4 or 5 years ago. And now today, and it's crazy how fast this happens, Patrick. I know you'll agree with this. In a short 4 to 5 year period of time, when you really are intentional and you have incredible people in your corner with some great businesses, you really turn into a different person. Your confidence level of being able to go tackle things that you never thought you would do 3, 4, 5 years ago become a part of your everyday world. And that's why we leaned into going all in on, building these 4 swim schools over the next 3 years. And you talk about enterprise value between these 3 different sets of businesses. We're going to be in a spot to basically corner the market on child experience and child care through franchise brands that are built to stay for a very, very long time in the future.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome, man. You brought up enterprise value. I'd love to go ahead and transition into that a little bit. You've got, and again, this is something that's very important. Well, two things. One is I love your concept of growing through acquisitions. And if you are out there and you own a single business, the absolute fastest way to grow is through acquisitions. And Bret's living that right now. So you've got, again, most people think that because I own a business, I have to spend 50 to 70 hours in that business running. And that's just one business. And you own 9. So kind of walk, the entrepreneur that might be listening to this that maybe feels guilty or feels bad or feels like they have to be working 50 to 70 hours in one business. What would you say to that business owner?
Well, I mean, again, the only way to get to the point where you're not working 50 to 70 hours a week is to either terminate yourself from your responsibilities in that business and be okay with that, which in turn takes a little bit of money off the table for you as the business owner and the investor, or you got to scale. There's just no way around it. Our ability to be in multiple places at one time is because we have scaled from 1 to 5 and eventually up to 9. Next year, our big goal is to build a corporate office team. So we start bringing in really incredibly top level talented type people that will be either director of or VP of. It could be facilities, sales, training, culture. And that allows us to work on the business almost 100% of the time, which makes you go further faster versus working in it.
Yeah.
And we had that one location. My business partner and I were putting in 50 to 60 hours per person, working mostly in the business because we had to turn it around. We had to hire people and we had to get it back up on 2 really solid, strong feet so that then we could go and hire and bring people on board and go after further acquisitions.
Yeah. So you basically, what you're saying is you have to scale with the right pricing model and everything else and create that margin so that you can hire other people to pop in and get yourself out of the day-to-day operations so you can work on the business.
Yeah, but it was fun though too, right? I mean, for a short period of time, we really enjoyed working in it because
Sure, of course,
it made us a better leader, right? It showed us exactly what all of our teams go through on a day-to-day basis so that we can be able to serve them better and understand what their struggles are so that we can remove those barriers and make them more successful.
And Bret, a lot of times people, they hit stumbling blocks to do exactly what you were able to do to remove yourself from it. A lot of times people will hit stumbling blocks in being able to afford to put people in to do what they're doing and still have an income to live off of. Right. So a lot of times the stumbling blocks that people get is the business they're buying or their current services, they're not charging enough, or they don't have a unique selling proposition that differentiates themselves from their competition so that they can charge enough. Walk us through what your thoughts and experiences have been regarding those topics in your businesses.
Yeah, we did both, man. And it took time through our mentors to see that we should not apologize for our prices. We should not apologize for
I love that.
the things that we do, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
So we got crazy confident in looking at our customer and saying, you tell me right now, face to face as a man, as a woman, that we have not provided an insane amount of value the past 12 months. And they go, no, you have. Okay, cool. Our teachers deserve the best. Our employees deserve the best, just like your kids do, just like our customer does. So in order for us to be able to give you that, we have to charge these prices. We're not outside the market.
Yeah.
We're actually still in a position to not be at the top, but I'm telling you as a business owner, that's where we're headed. And after a while, and people see, if you constantly reinvest in the business and you're always finding ways to add value to your team and to your business location, the chatter of why are you charging so much begins to go away. And then it turns into, I'm proud to be here. You tell me what I'm going to pay, because I'm going to pay it, because my kid or my whatever family is going to experience what you have to offer. And when you start doing that, man, you really don't have to beg, barter, steal anymore. I mean, you just literally turn the lights on and greatness begins to happen day to day, which allows you to stay in business for a really long time.
Absolutely. So you're creating the value, but then also, even maybe just as important, maybe more important, you're also communicating. I heard you kind of talking there. You're communicating that value to your clients.
Oh, absolutely. And, we're doing it with all the respect in the world, a lot of hugs and high fives. The communication is black and white, right? I mean, it's not only black and white from a verbal standpoint, but it's also black and white in the fact that, every single month, every quarter, every year, we're reinvesting, right? We're adding new people, new activities, and actually new physical attributes to each one of our business locations that people can see, right? So we don't have to sit there and be like, well, my opinion is this. It's factual right in front of you, right? Like, so here's the most recent thing that we did that people can see and will see in our future. On Monday of this week, we hired a director of training, onboarding, and culture. This dude is going to be a gangster when it comes to getting somebody from Indeed all the way over to what is your long-term approach as an employee in this business? And most importantly, how are you going to interact with every single customer and make them feel like they're the only person in the world that matters, right?
Wow.
The intent behind that is to, again, always be investing in our team, always make them see that there is a better, a faster, so that, man, our customer is constantly satisfied in our growth, right? Because that's what we're always committed to.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. So you're hiring a dedicated person just to help people coming on board, taking them through the onboarding process, but at the same time, helping mold them into your culture, the culture of not just time tellers, but clock builders, constant reinvention and getting better, and all about creating value, maximizing value for the customer.
Yeah. I mean, we're going after kids that work at Chick-fil-A, that work at Disney World, that just turn it on. Right. And we got to find ways to get them unlocked out of their shell to be their best version of themselves. Right. I don't need 220 me's. I need 220 individual people who understand the standard of customer experience we're trying to put forth and do it in the manner that makes them uniquely human. And people come to our locations for that, right? They want to see the Johns and the Sallys and the everybody else's that are uniquely them, which creates that human connection, but it also holds us accountable to the standard of what we're going to do as far as service goes.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, you're building the individuality of each person into their business. How do you feel that affects how do you think that affects their morale as the employees?
Well, I mean, I really do truly hope that when I said this speech on Monday when we introduced our director of training, I really want every employee to believe and feel that when they walk in the front door, they can go, oh, man, I'm home. I'm here. I love being a part of this environment.
Yeah, that's not typical in most workplaces.
I know. And I've come from workplaces where you don't feel that way, where you feel like lighting the front door on fire.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I love it. What do you think of some of the other contributions, or some of the things that you guys are doing or have done to build that in your culture?
Man, again, one piece of the director of training and culture, his job is going to be, alongside of our executive assistant, is to find incredible ways to bless our team, right? That could be from an employee of the week, MVP of the month, over to just because bonuses and gifts. We do retreats. We take them out to do things in the marketplace that make them excited: bowling, top golf, professional sporting events. Hopefully, eventually, it could be live music concerts, out to the lake. I see you got a beautiful setting behind you right there. That's inspiring. eventually over to, man, really cool trips that you see a bunch of the huge organizations do for their top people in the workforce, right? So that's all in the future horizon. We're such a young organization, I mean, we only got to the 5th location 2 months ago, right? So
That's awesome.
as far as like being young goes, we got a long way to go. I understand that, and being committed long term. The thing that you do know is if you really continuously invest in people, hopefully they're going to surprise you in the best way possible, and they'll stay with you long term to continue to surge forward, right?
Yeah, awesome. I mean, we've already gone through just some amazing stuff about scaling, about creating value, pricing, and creating culture. What do you think are some of the other things that have created that enterprise value in your companies?
Well, you're familiar with the term arbitrage, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. What I'm learning through Unleashed Brand, which is the parent company for Urban Air, is they are going out there and they have this parent company umbrella, and they're going and purchasing these child experience companies to eventually fold underneath one umbrella, right? So far, I think they have it's either 5 or 6. They have things like Snapology, a kid karate franchise. They have an XP League, which is gaming, and several others, right? And it could turn into a lot, things like School of Rock or cooking classes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, as we continue to grow these brands, start finding ways to synergistically cross them over to each other.
Yep.
And erase the competition. Like I want the moms and dads to be like, man, this is my straight up one-stop shop for multiple reasons, right? Multiple reasons, because I can take my kids here for fun, learn, play, grow, right? They can do the karate, then they can do a dance class, they can do a cooking class, and then all of it in one location. And then do it in a manner that people can really feel the culture, right? It's trackable, traceable, and you can feel it and see it in action every day by the interactions you have, the way we communicate, how we communicate, and the way that we serve, right? I mean, we really want people to go out of their way to drive past 4 or 5 other locations that are celebrating mediocrity
totally
and come to us because, no one can keep up.
Awesome. Yeah. Just position yourself so far down that nobody can even think about catching up to you guys.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the arbitrage thing. So in my world, when I think about arbitrage, I think, and you talk about this umbrella that you're creating, and you're putting a whole bunch of related industries under that one umbrella, right? If you buy 5 companies that EBITDA, let's say, is $1 million or 2 million, let's say, and now you have a company that the EBITDA is 10 million. Well, all of a sudden you're creating value out of thin air, because there's companies that will pay a lot more for larger companies. Is that kind of in the same realm or thought process, that you're combining multiple companies to exit someday and get a lot more for the value of that company?
Yeah. I mean, obviously way far down the line for us because we just got started, but without a doubt, man. I mean, I want to be able to track the most top of the line buyers that will pay what we firmly believe and will be confident in is the value we've built, right? And especially when it's a unique offering, right? So if you look at an Urban Air who eventually will have 4 different franchises under one roof that all cohesively can exist and give moms and dads and customers a crazy wow factor.
Yeah, totally.
And it has sustainability.
Right.
Way into the future. I mean, people are going to pay more for that than just one Urban Air or just one Kids Are Kids, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of exit strategy, do you guys have like, I know you said we're just getting going, so you may or may not. Do you have an exit strategy? Are you going to look to sell to PE someday? Are you going to look to have strategic acquisition? Any thoughts on that down the road for you guys?
Not yet. I mean, if I was probably 50 years old, I'd be thinking more about that. I'm in my later 30s. So I got a lot of energy and gusto ready to go. We're going to get to the 4th swim school and probably sit back and go, all right, what's next, man? Do we go after a huge acquisition after this because we got this big platform, meaning like $25-50 million type company purchase? Or we just continue to add these 1s and 2s and 3s in the state of Texas or beyond.
Yeah.
that can keep helping our company grow. It's really undecided. I don't know. I can tell you that we're having a ton of fun. There's a lot of relativity to this. I don't see it going out of style anytime soon. Childcare, child experience. So I don't think we're in any position where we have to follow a market trend or have a timetable in front of us because, multitude of factors. Right now, we're just moving forward.
Yeah. A fun question. I was just kind of thinking about it. I'd be curious to see what you come up with, but what do you think has been your biggest challenge as an entrepreneur since going down this road of buying businesses? What do you think has been your biggest, what was your biggest challenge?
I would definitely lean towards COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the reason for that is we have in your face businesses, right? And all we had back then was straight preschools. And there was no urban air. There was no signs of goldfish on the horizon. It was 3 preschools. One of them we only owned for 6 months, and then COVID just smacked us right in the face. Alex and I were in a position on a trajectory to start removing ourselves from the business. Here comes COVID.
That came to a screeching halt. Right.
I mean, screeching halt and then went right back in. Man, we worked 7 days a week for almost 2 years, just trying to keep our businesses alive. Right. I mean, some people had the luxury of getting a PPP and that was like, this is free money. Sweet. We needed it to make it through. Right. Because we went from 180 kids down to 20 of them.
Right.
In a lot of our different locations,
180. Oh yeah. Down to 20 because we're not going to school anymore.
But people aren't paying for their kid to not go. Right.
No.
So, it was scary for a while. We had to get gritty, bob and weave, and man, rob Peter, pay Paul every single day.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
Man, we never let anybody go. We gave everybody the option. If you just didn't want to come to work, you didn't. But keep in mind, the people who got our back and fight to help the team survive, even though it's a scary situation. Yep. Those are the people that are going to be remembered and be taken care of. Right. And we had those. We had some amazing people on our teams that said,
that's awesome.
You tell me what needs to be done. I'm doing that today. Is it driving the bus?
Yep.
Is it power washing the front?
Yep.
Is it cooking? Is it
right.
answering phones? Is it taking out trash? I'm going to do it. Right. And that's what Alex and I did, and my business partner. I mean, we were just there holding it together and trying to keep a smile on our face. Right. And look, the whole world was going through it. We weren't in a unique situation besides, a lot of my friends and people that I know had the luxury of just working at home and not having to worry about any kind of like face-to-face interaction. We did not have that luxury. We had to be in person.
Yeah. Yeah, totally, man. You guys were willing to roll up the sleeves, get back in, and you had to, and make it work.
Yep.
Cool, man. Bret, so just so many awesome things here. We talked about high level arbitrage, benefits of that. We talked about some of the things you guys are doing in culture. Like, I think that's amazing. You're so intentful and on purpose and on point about what you're doing about creating that culture around the people and just going out there and buying more businesses and focusing on scaling and getting yourself out, but at the same time, really focusing it around the people. And I think that's, when I interview people from the most successful companies, that's what the theme, 90% of the conversation is, and that's what you've been, is it's around the people. It's around blessing the people and helping them be happy and successful. And that's your employees and creating value. And so if you could go back, let's say 10 years, right? And you had to only give yourself one piece of advice to the younger CEO version of yourself, man, what would that be?
Do it earlier.
Do it earlier. Okay.
Yeah, man. I listen to too much chatter from too many different directions on, you went to school for this and you got such a good job, and it's, you're in line for a promotion, and like it came from everybody, right? I'm not going to name by any means, it's not fair, but
sure.
Yeah, I had it in me earlier. I did. But maybe I held back because that's what God wanted, because I needed to continue to go through experiences to finally get there and go, all right, we're ready to go. But man, I would recommend to anybody Dude, don't wait, man. I mean, like if you've had it in your heart and your gut for a long time, you got to figure out what you're really, really great at. And then you got to start making some moves, right? You're never going to be intellectually as smart as the next person. It doesn't matter. The people who are in our position, you know this, Patrick, are just the ones that are willing to jump, right? And then along the way, you're going to meet mentors and learn things and become the people we are today and in our future selves as well, right? Just take the leap.
Man, that is so awesome. It's I can attest to that. I've had it in myself personally, but I didn't make the leap to entrepreneurship till 5 years ago, really. I mean, to a full time, I was doing stuff on the side and side hustles, but yeah, that's some great piece of advice, man. Bret, awesome having you on the show today. So many gold nuggets in there. If anybody wanted to get a hold of you for questions, how could they follow up with you and get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure, man. Obviously, you can connect with me on social media. It's Bret, B-R-E-T, Beitler, B-E-I-T-L-E-R. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn as well. And then you can shoot me emails if you want to chat to Bret, B-R-E-T, checklist, CHECKLIST, @gmail.com. Be happy to chat.
Man, that is so awesome and generous of you. And again, thanks for being on the show, man. This was just awesome. And thank you to the listeners for tuning into the podcast. Please hit the like and subscribe and help us spread the word about what we're doing on the show here and our mission and vision. With that, this is Patrick Rogers with the Exitable Business Podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks a lot.
See you guys.